thank you for being a part of our conversation. And remember, I said this is a conversation. We are excited. I am so excited tonight to have a special guest. I don't know, I don't have any children, but she feels like she's one of mine. It just feels that way, like she's one of my children. And I'm just so proud of all that she's doing and all that she's done. I remember when she was Natasha, she wasn't Natasha Worthy, she was Natasha Coswell. That's it. Yes, I am so proud of Natasha. Tonight we have with us Natasha Worthy. Hi, Miss Coswell. No, Mr. Coswell. Theas.
My sister Theas.
Theas is on. Yeah. I'm so excited that Natasha is with us tonight. I want to give you just a little bit of information about Natasha. I think I met Natasha when we both worked at the Cab Medical Center years and years ago. But Natasha,
That's great.
I'm gonna read a little bit. I'm not gonna tell you everything. She is the senior manager of the home visiting program at a facility here. She has a master's degree in social worker from Clark Atlanta University. Yeah! She has done tons and tons of things with leadership. She's had a lot of leadership trainings. Her passion is maternal and child health. She's done a postgraduate leadership academy with that. I am just so excited about having Natasha on. Hey, Katina, how are you, Katina Davis?
Oh, the Grady crew. Tell her hi.
Katina. Curtis, my cousin, how are you? Thank you all for joining us tonight. I think it's going to be a great conversation. Natasha is a woman full of knowledge, full of information, and we just want to talk. First of all, I just want to say congratulations in all that you're doing, all that you've done. You have navigated what's been given to you in an amazing way. Not only is she a social worker, she's a mom, she's a wife, she's a believer, she's very active in her church. So homegirl is a busy woman. She has it going on. So I'm excited to have the conversation with you tonight. So we'll just go ahead and get started. How you doing?
Good, and I'm very excited, and I want to say congratulations to you for your platform and all your successes. And I'm excited about tonight. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, and yes, how is the family?
Everybody is well. We are in this virtual learning phase, and I'm just amazed how, I want to be in school. I want to go to school. But when they were going to school, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. So we have completed the first week successfully. So everyone's well. Mr. Worthy is doing well. He's out. I think he sent the information to all his family and friends, but he's somewhere out there working on the car. But everyone is well, Sonya. Thank you.
Good. That is so good. That's so good to hear. I remember when you all got married and we went to the reception. I remember when you were carrying with your first child, girl. All of us was pregnant with you. All of us.
Absolutely. And you know, I had that piker and that spit jar, and you guys were just as patient and loving throughout that. So you're absolutely right. We have gone through a lot together.
Yes. So when you think about all of the places that you've worked, all of the populations that you've worked with, what populations really stand out to you? I know your theme now is maternal child health, but are there any other populations that you've kind of have a niche for, or you kind of like to engage in?
Yes, children, women, families, really. When I first started out and I knew I wanted to be a social worker, I really wanted to impact the lives of children. But as I have developed in the field of maternal and child health, I know that it takes working with all of those entities that, you know, affect a child, such as the mom, such as the dad, the community in which the, you know, child lives. And so now success for me, or what I enjoy, is just working with the gamut of, families and communities.
And would you say that the fathers are just as important as the moms? Because sometimes we like to separate them. Sometimes we like to work with the mama and the baby and just leave the father out on his own.
Absolutely, they are just as important. And in the field, everybody is recognizing that. They're recognizing the role of the father, the value of the father. You can just look through your Facebook posts and you see activities with men and their children. So absolutely, they are just as important.
Absolutely. I think we have done our children, our history, just a disservice when we said, we'll help you and the baby, but we're not going to help the dad. Well, the dad needs just as much help. Exactly. Because we got to realize that sometimes a lot of us come from a lot of different broken things. Mm-hmm. A lot of us don't necessarily know how to be a mother, how to be a father, how to be a husband. So I think it's just so vital that when we look at the family, that we look at the entire family. And I know that it's changing now. It may be 2 mamas, 2 daddies, whatever your family is. Right. We need to look at the whole unit. Exactly. I just think that is just so key. I remember when you were working over at one place down in Atlanta. I think you were starting when you all were doing the home visitations. Mm-hmm. And I just think that it's just so important that we reach out and we touch those people and we bring them along. We don't just talk about them. We don't talk about what they're doing. We don't talk about, oh, they got 5 baby dad. It doesn't matter. Let's just help them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And everybody wants to be respected. Everybody wants to be treated with dignity, and everybody wants to have input in terms of what happens in their lives. And just in terms of me, in terms of leadership and working as a home visitor has allowed me, to do that. And I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And sometimes even now I am working in the school systems, and sometimes I think people are, in my setting where I am now, they're a little too hungry to go out and to me it's more of being nosy than being of a support to parents or to students in their home. That's their space. We don't come in and we don't take control of that. We don't come in and tell them what they need to do. No, we want to be a support where they are. And then if it's necessary, then we'll go to the home. But we have agencies such as yours that are already in the home. We don't need to go out there and go into their privacy. I think that's their private area. And I think we do a disservice when we go out just to check. You know what I mean?
I agree. And in terms of service, you will treat people the way you want to be treated. Absolutely. And I think if we just follow that simple rule as service providers, be it a teacher, pastor, doctor, whomever, if you treat people with the same respect, common courtesy that you want, things will go well, because respectively, we are all the experts as it relates to our own lives. So no matter if the family is in poverty, if they're experiencing substance abuse, as it relates to their life, they know what their goals are and they know what they want. And so we're just here as to assist them, to help them to reach their goals.
Absolutely. So I have this thing when I go to the doctor and the doctor wants to refer me to a doctor. I say, I don't want to go to your classmate. I want to go to who you would send your mama to. That's who I want to go. I don't want to go to your homeboy. Send me to who you send your mama, your sister, because I feel like if you will send them to those people, then you really trust those people. Exactly. I don't know. I just think that we have done just a disservice, and it's now time to turn it around. The men need just as much support, if not more, because more is expected of them. And all that we're going through right now, I think it's just vital that we do our part. Treat people that, as you say, the way we want to be treated, no matter who they are, no matter their age. Even when I was talking to a family today on the phone, I said, yes, ma'am, even though I knew the lady was younger than me. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You are our customer, and I want to provide great customer service for you. So
Yeah.
it's just a given.
Yeah, I agree. I laugh because I do the same thing, and I listen and I hear my children, and they're that yes, ma'am, and no,
Uh-huh.
ma'am, but
Uh-huh.
just basic common courtesy,
Yes,
and
yes,
I think that
yes.
that will go a long way.
Yes, and know that I'm here to help you. I'm not
Absolutely.
here to take your children away, even though my
Hmm.
title is social worker, and that's what you think. No,
Exactly.
I'm here to help you and to be a support. Let me say hello, Geraldine and Latricia. Hello, how are y'all doing? Thank you all for joining. Don't forget to share so we can have some more people. So when did you decide, or when did you know, or when did God tell you, okay, it's time for you to go into a leadership role?
I want to say it just happened.
Uh-huh.
I was, I'll start with the Center for Black Women's Wellness. So that was my first position in leadership, because I was with you at Grady as a medical
Yes.
social worker.
Uh-huh.
And it was just, time to move. And I saw the position. I had never been a supervisor, before, but kudos to you and Deborah and
Oh.
others who I have, seen do it effortlessly. And I was like, okay, let's give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied. I I got the job, and I'll be honest, it was challenging at first, just finding my own footing,
Mm-hmm.
and just really knowing that I could do it, because that imposter syndrome, it can creep
Yes.
up. That is
Yes.
really a
Yes.
real thing. But
Yes.
I went into it, and I think I'm a natural leader
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that in terms of, for me, I label myself as the best, hype woman, and the best number two that anybody could have, because my
Yes.
nature is I want to help, and I want to help whomever get to the
Mm-hmm.
next level, if it's an individual or, an
Mm-hmm.
organization. And my leadership style is one where, a democratic approach.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to get input. I listen to people, respect them. And I think that that has helped me to move up, in my career. So while at CBWW as the care management coordinator, I was promoted, to the program manager. And again, just the same responsibilities. I mean, not the same responsibility, more responsibilities, but
Mm-hmm.
my approach, was still
Mm-hmm.
the same. And one of the things that I value from you is that when we would have supervision, sorry, you would see me, Natasha, the
Mm-hmm.
person first. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Pooh. So hi, the baby. Hi, Mr. Bird. And that goes a long way, that you
Yeah.
you remember my husband's name, that you know my children's name. And so just being that type of leader has helped me, to excel.
So I want to continue on that, but I have a question that someone asked about when we said something about social workers. When we talk about social work and the stigma that goes with being a social worker and then being a social work supervisor, tell us a little bit about some of the stigma that you encountered with being a social worker.
Well, I laugh because it seems that the only thing that we are known for is working at defects and
Yeah.
taking folks, taking their children.
Yeah.
And I have had to really just express that the world of social work is so vast. There are
Yeah.
so many different, roles and positions that you can take as being a social worker. And I think, again, it wasn't my mouth, but it was how I
Yes.
interacted and how I treated the clients that I was dealing with when I was a home visitor, that they felt comfortable and they could trust me, and they would know. I mean, and then don't get me wrong, there is a responsibility.
Yes.
As a social worker, I am a mandated reporter. However, if I'm upfront with my clients about that, and they know that they can trust me, it has never cost me any,
Mm-hmm.
issues. So I think it's more so about how I treated
Yeah.
people once
Yeah.
they, kind of knew who I was as a professional. Then that the stigma left. They
Right.
felt
Right.
comfortable.
And then when you go in saying, you know what? I'm here to help you.
Absolutely.
I have no room for you, for your kids at my house.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things I enjoy as a mom is that I have had the opportunity on career day to go and present to students, and I share with them, because that's the first thing. Do you take the, raise your hand, you take
Yes.
no, but we talk about it, and I share with them the many, like I say, other professions and roles that you can have, in the field of social work. But you're absolutely right. It's coming from a helping perspective. I am not the expert. You are the expert, and we're going to work together to resolve or to reach whatever goals the family has.
So when you moved up into, since you said it, I guess I can say it, Black Women's Wellness, when you
yes, you can.
When you moved up to that position, how did you navigate those relationships? How did you handle making that switch? How were they, how did you do it?
It was challenging. And the reason why I said it was challenging, because I was at the same level as a lot of my, colleagues, and some of them felt a certain way, and after just being frank with facts and with feelings, we discussed it openly, and it wasn't the fact that she was angry at me, but she felt a certain kind of way, about her excelling. And we just talked about it, and we talked about the expectations. We both have a responsibility here. And my goal is to, do what I need to do. But I also want to work with you where we can work, together. And so we discussed it, and things went well. And I think because I set the expectation, and again, I haven't said this, but relationships are key. And I value my relationships. So because we both valued the relationships, it worked out. There were others that did not go so well. And so, which led to termination and those types of, unfortunate, and it could be fortunate or unfortunate.
Right. It depends.
You look at it. So, it was challenging at first, but I think in leadership, you have to be ready to be pulled. You have to be ready to grow. And it really helped me to grow because I was worried, about just, what that would look like. And if I fired somebody, what that would look like. And at the end of the day, I'm going to call her name. Jamie Dorsey said, as a believer, you have to believe that God is going to take care of them. And as a supervisor, I had to do what was needed, and what was best for the organization. So, yeah.
When you had to fire your first person, how was that? And was that somebody that you'd had a relationship with?
So this person had been in the organization prior to me, and I don't know, I'm just going to say, sometimes I guess people just don't like you just because, and so it was just one of those situations where she was having, challenges personally, which affected her job. However, as the supervisor, I tried to work with her, to address those. I've been over backwards. I was accommodating, and I even went to my leadership, for support and guidance. But when it came to the fact that you were doing a disservice to our clients, to our families, and I had my documentation of what you were doing and were not doing, it was just a time that, you have to leave. I'm gonna be honest, because it was a me or you, and I wasn't going, anywhere. And so I had to, terminate her because she had been there. She was ingrained in the organization, the community, it was kind of lonely for a minute because people were, mad with me and felt bad for her. But again, at the end of the day, I had to do what was best for our clients, what was best for my team, because, like they say, a rotten apple can spoil the barrel. And I saw where her attitude, and if they saw her getting away with certain things, then, my respect and credibility would have been out the door. So definitely not an easy task, but it's one that has grown easier now, you know,
Mhm.
because of experience. And again, I can go to sleep at night because as a believer, I know God would take care of you, but I can't want your job more than you do.
Right, right, right. So how was it when doing that? You talked a little bit about the lonely times. I mean, you when you're elevated, you can't talk to your friends like you used to talk. You can't say, God, Lee, I can't believe we got to do this again. No, because you telling them to do it anyway. You can't bad mouth the organization. You gotta come from a different perspective. And sometimes there are times you just want to just scream. You want to do the James, I can't believe you died on me, the Florida Evans.
Right.
You cannot do it with that group of people. How did you manage those lonely times?
I was going to say, you know, I have a very, very, very supportive husband, and Mr. Worthy is my sounding board, you know, for everything. So the pillow talk would be, she has gotten on my last nerve. I don't want to write her up. Oh my God, what am I going to do? You know, and even outside of him, though, Sonya, I have been very, very, very blessed to have a group of family and friends, you know, professional women and some men that I have been able to go to vent and to provide me guidance. And I just want to say, for anyone who is listening, you need to have someone outside your job. Your job is not the place to vent, to tell all your information. You know, you do need to separate the two. And I have been fortunate in that respect.
So somebody says, how do you balance loneliness in leadership?
Again, I think you have to find you someone outside of your organization, you know, to help to give you that support, that encouragement to continue. And it will get better. It does.
Yes.
You know, I found lonely times when staff didn't agree, or I didn't make the popular decision, or I could not share everything with staff, and they didn't understand the decision that I made. So it became lonely because, you know, people have their feelings and they'll not talk to you one day or do something. But over time, I must say that, and when I say time, I mean years, you know, my team grew to trust me, and they
Right.
knew that whatever
Right.
I was doing, it was for their betterment and the betterment
Right.
of the organization. So it does get lonely, but again, I definitely encourage you to find you some support outside of the organization. And yeah, and it's always good to have an ally inside the organization. However, you need to be careful in terms of conversations, what you share, and it's okay to be polite, but make it friendly and friendly conversation, but yet professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Sandy and Robin, thank you all for joining tonight. If you have any questions, go ahead. And Sophie, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in and we will try to get to them. Hey, Stacy. Stacy also worked at Grady. She worked in Rate Crisis.
Is that Stacy Coachman?
Yes, it's Stacy Coachman. Thank you for being on tonight. Tonight we're talking about when you move from the line worker to the supervisor. I remember, you know what? I remember one time when I was just the supervisor, I didn't even come to Grady looking for a position. I just came looking just to get a job. That's all I want. So I became a supervisor. And there were some people there that had been there longer than me, as you said, and they just didn't like me. I didn't know anybody there. All I knew was Miss Turner, and she hired me. That's the only person I knew. But some of those people remain, and then when I became the director, it was almost kind of funny that they kind of had to backtrack on some of that stuff that they were saying because they needed to come to me to get certain things done. So, but you never know. You never know how the tide is going to turn. How did you deal with some of those people that were negative towards you, but then when you became that leader, how did you deal with that?
With a smile. I smiled at you when you treated me ugly. I smiled at you when you were talking and trying to make challenges, you know, for my position. And I smiled at you when I excelled, and then you had to, you know, come to me for direction and guidance. I smile. What's that, Kurt Franklin? You smile. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you know, I don't really have time for that. And I'll be honest, there were times when it's like, you know, I would, early on in my career, I would, you know, question my own decision making and judgment. But at the end of the day, you know, you don't have time for that. You trust that your leaders put you in that position to do what you have to do, and you just smile. I didn't treat you any differently. I didn't disrespect you. Just smile.
You're right. You're right. I think that's one of the things that I have to agree with you. I didn't treat them any differently. And I can't say that I treated everybody the same because they're individuals, but I was fair to everyone.
Absolutely.
I was fair. Now, I may be able to talk to Katina one way, but I can't talk to Billy Joe that way because Billy Joe would get offended. So you definitely have to know your employees. One person asked a question. It says, what was the most difficult transition? What was the most difficult for you as it relates to transition? Was it the mindset, relationships, managing finances? What did you find was the most difficult for you when you move into leadership?
Right. I was going to say, it was actually, it was the mindset, because I'm like, oh my God, I am responsible for this federal program in terms of the amount of money, making sure that deliverables, you know, were met, going out and fostering relationships. So I think it was the mindset. At first I was like, thank you, God, but then it became, you know, overwhelming. But I don't know who said it, but how can you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And so I really had to calm myself. Again, Natasha, you have this, and I just had to walk my path, you know, walk my journey. But I would say it was the mindset, you know.
I would agree with you. When I was at Grady and there were over 60 MSWs, just smart men and women, and now I'm responsible for a $4.5 million budget. I was like, oh my lamb. What the devil have I done? And I had to, as you said about the ally, I remember she just celebrated her birthday, Jackie Kurt, that's not her name. Jackie, she's over physical therapy. She had to sit me down and show me, this is how we do the budget. This is what this means. This is what that, because I didn't know. And I had no one. I was trying to figure it out on my own. It wasn't computing in my mind, but getting an ally. Anytime I had a question, Jackie Reasoner, anytime I had a question about anything, I would call her. She would stop whatever she was doing to answer my questions. So allies are just vital when you're making those transitions. And it's true. When I would come home, sometimes it would be super late, and my nieces would be saying, Auntie, all you do is sleep here. You just come eat, sleep, and go to bed, because it was so much. The transition, the learning curve. Especially for that big animal called Grady, it was huge. It was so, and you had to learn who you had to talk to this way, who you had to talk to that way, who you could say too much to, who was cousin to who, and it was just, it was as you said, it was overwhelming for a minute.
Right.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about your learning curve. Tell us about your learning curve.
I am one who learns by doing. I love, in terms of my leadership, and what I've been fortunate to have is an open door, you know, policy. So if I have a question, I would go to leadership. I wanted to have, you know, my questions answered. And again, I just learned by doing. It depends on what the situation or what I was working on, in terms of how long the learning curve, you know, was. But in terms of, you know, things like policy, dealing with the budget, making sure that I knew outcomes, those were like the priority. And then those other things, you know, I would definitely tackle on or add on.
Somebody asked the question, what was your time frame as it relates to your learning curve? What would you say that it was?
So I have what I call the 30, 60, 90. So again, the 30 are those major things that I need to be able to cast the vision and share it with my team. And then those 60-day would be those things that I don't know, depending on if there was a report due or whatever, kind of get myself around that. And then my 90-day would be things that, now that I'm in the new position, things that I wanted to start working on that I thought would help to improve the program or the organization.
Oh, that's good. A 30, 60, 90. Y'all need to write that down. 30, 60, 90. That's good. That's good. What advice would you give to a Black woman in leadership about the importance of connection and support?
Relationships are key. Relationships are valuable. I would say that in terms of not all, but many of my professional relationships, in terms of where I was the employee and someone else was the supervisor, those relationships have extended far beyond the professional work environment, such as you and I. Relationships are key because you have someone who is there to support you, to guide you, and who does not judge you. If I made a decision or made a mistake, I could go and share it with, my sister, who is also in a professional a position as well, and she would be able to say, girl, drink this glass of wine and we're going to talk about this and we're going to figure this out. Not only that, relationships are key in terms of as you move up the ladder. People can recommend you for a position. My position now is and I would say it was relationship. This person knew me just by name and reputation. And they had an opening in her department, and she came, and requested or off, was like, okay, I think you need to apply for this. So I absolutely agree that relationships are key.
Yes, absolutely. That's how I got promoted at Grady. I was at the cabs. My previous supervisor said, if a position becomes available in mother baby, make sure you give it to her. I was not looking for anything, and then a position became available, and you need to make sure that you are doing a good job. You gotta do the job. You can't. Your work needs to be good, and so that people will want to bring you on, or will want to. So that's how I got, when I tell you, I promise you, I did not go to Grady wanting to be director of social services. I saw how crazy it was, and I was like, there is no way I want that. But it happened.
And people are always looking. You never know, who is looking. And not that, I come as my authentic self. So that means I'm definitely not, perfect. But I do give my best to whatever, it is. And I am one who I like my autonomy. And so for my supervisors or my leadership to give me autonomy, that means they trust me to do what I'm supposed to do. So you're absolutely right. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're trying to do it in excellence, people see that and they will go to bat for you. They will.
And even I remember before I became director, I was supervisor for mother baby and over the First Steps and the Healthy Families Program, which were grant positions. And the grantors told me, oh, Grady always turn that stuff in late. We'll just wait on you. I said, no, that's not the way we do it now. No, ma'am, we are not playing that game. We're not going to be little old Grady. Oh, we just take it. They just do everything backwards. No, ma'am, we're not. So when we brought it up to standard, and then we started getting our stuff in early, and we started meeting those deadlines, they were all surprised. Oh, are you really surprised?
Right.
Because
now what's the next challenge? Bring it on. What do you have next?
Right. And then when you have people of integrity working for you and wanting, my motto is, I always want to make my supervisor look good.
Absolutely.
I want to make her look good, because if she looking good, I'm looking good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I agree with you 100%. And it definitely goes a long way. Trust, respect, and
Yes.
accountability.
Yes.
They go a long way.
Yes.
And I agree with you that, again, just that I'm the best number 2 and the best hype woman you can have, because that's my goal. My goal is to make my supervisor look good, to make the organization, to look good. And once you have that, the rest will come. The rest will come.
Yes, yes. So that means, to me, that means that you as an individual have to have some value about you. You as an individual have to have some worth about you, that you want the best for yourself. You do things in excellence. You are a person that's respected. Your word is your bond. You as an individual, and you bring that to me, to your workplace. So when I was promoted, I brought that to the workplace. You could trust me with your secrets. I tried to treat everybody fair. I brought that with me. I didn't leave that because now I'm a supervisor, I'm going to leave. No, it's the same. There are some key things that have changed, but who I am as a person is the exact same. I came in the door this way.
Right.
Hey, Michael Bryant, thank you for joining. And Geraldine said that she's going through this situation right now. Well, we hope that we're giving you some good information. Do you have any questions? Let us know if you have any questions. When you think about, how did you balance your new position, your busyness at church, and then your home life?
That's funny. I was gonna say, because it was a challenge. I would say early on, when I had to travel and work late, I must give kudos to my husband, because he would take vacation time when the kids were small, and make sure that they didn't miss a beat while mom, was away. And as they grew, they understood the ebbs and flow, of my position. And there are times when, I would work late at work in the office and then have to come and continue to work, to get a grant out, to get something completed. So they also were supportive in terms of, we'll give mommy that space. However, some things have to give, if it's singing in the choir or going to this church event, for the most part, I was able to juggle, but there are some things that I just had to, say no to and put on the back burner for a minute or two. So I'm just thankful for my family that, on those times when I did drop the ball, it was not the best mommy wife. They extended, me a little bit of grace.
Yes. So someone says, what does it mean when turnover is extremely high on a job?
So that means that people don't stay. For instance, you have a position and people come, and depending on what the culture is at the office, you may have had 6 people in 1 year in the same position. That's high turnover, in terms of people are not happy, or there's no room for growth, because that's one of my things too. That whole glass ceiling thing, that's not me. So I need to go somewhere where if I'm gonna put in, I want to be able, the option to move up. So turnover is when people just kind of rotate out of a position, and don't stay long.
And I think people also turn over when the money, when you're working and you're not being rewarded with pay. If the pay is not good, they're not going to stay. No matter how much they love the job, they still have their bills that they have to take care of. Frozen voice, let it go. Is what Latrice said. What I had to learn is to let it go with church work. let some of the hats go. So she was basically in the same position, and she had to let some of that stuff. And you gotta realize your body will tell you, okay, you need to take a break. You're taking on too much. That is one of the reasons why I ended up leaving Grady. I was getting to work at 6 and 7 o'clock, and then leaving at 9 and 10 o'clock at night. That's not healthy.
Yeah.
That's just not good. And it just became too overwhelming emotionally and physically. So you gotta realize that sometimes you have to realize that your health is more important than a dollar.
Your health and your mental health, is also important. And I definitely agree with reading the signs. I enjoy what I do. I've enjoyed the direct service. Now I enjoy, providing a service, but more so, in terms of policies and programming, that piece. But at the end of the day, if it is not joyful for me, if it becomes stressful and I just don't want to get out of bed and go to work, then I know, it's time for me to kind of, hit the road. And I think too, in terms of opportunities, because again, like you said, I wasn't looking to leave CBWW. I wasn't. I loved it there. And I wasn't looking to leave, but again, having those professional relationships, and my husband, just go on and apply. I talked about it with one of my colleagues. She was like, well, girl, just go on and apply. It's been a few years since you, and I did it. And again, I'm so much better for it. So I definitely agree with the comment of the listener.
And it's good when you, even as a supervisor, it's good when you see your people progressing. When you see it, and you're not expecting them to stay in that place 20 and 30 years. We don't do that anymore. Well, y'all don't do that anymore.
I'm with you.
That longevity is not there. And then it's good to always look for something better, always trying to better yourself. I just think that's so vital. Somebody had a question that said, how do you remain an encouraging supervisor doing a job when your job is ending at this encouraging supervisor doing a job ending when your job is ending at the same time as your staff? I don't get that. Maybe you'll reword that for me, or something, and we'll get that on. I don't get that.
I was going to say, I would only just say that an experience close to that in terms of being with a organization, that was grant funded. I think as a supervisor, you have to be honest, because again, your team trusts you. And they trust you to be honest with them and to make decisions based on their best on the input of what's best for everybody. So I would just say, definitely talk with your team, allow them to come, and share their feelings or with you, and also position them that you have the power, although it is ending. But what are we going to do? So what is that next thing that you want to do? Are you interested in this? Did you want to go back to school? Well, let's see. What part-time position can you get that will allow you to do what you want to do? So, I mean, it's okay. I can tell my kids, you have feelings. Let's deal with the feelings, but we can't just stay there. So let's get up and let's talk about what's the next step. Where do we go from here?
That's good. That's good. She was talking about that it was the business was closing. And you know what I did for when I had one grant position and I knew that we weren't going to get the grant wasn't going to be renewed. I allowed those people, I let them know what was going on. It wasn't going to be renewed. And if you need to go look for a job while you at work, you got to do what you got to do. I understand completely. And I don't want to be, I didn't want to be ruthless. I didn't want to be ugly about it. You still got to eat. You still got to take care of your family. So if you need to schedule a job interview when you're supposed to be at work. Just let me know and we can make arrangements.
See, and that's what I say. You poured into me, because that's my thing in terms of compassion leadership, because we're in this, together.
Yeah.
And when one of us succeeds and excels, we all do. But when one of us is hurting, then we all feel that as well.
Yeah.
And what is it going to hurt? That means that she'll come in a little earlier or stay a little later, but it all works out for the good,
Right. Right.
So I definitely, that's my spin on leadership as well. I agree with you.
I even had a couple of the a couple of the adults were going to get their advanced degree. They were going to get their MSWs, and I allowed them flexibility. You are trying to better yourself. For me to say you can't come to work a little earlier, or you can't come stay a little later, that was a little crazy. I guess my little nephew is having a hissy fit about something. But to me, I just want people to be the best that they can be. And if I can help them do that,
absolutely,
then I need to do that. Well, I don't know if we talked about this a little bit. How did you do, or what were your emotions like when you had to fire your first person?
Again, I was thinking like, oh my God, I'm going to be the reason why she's not going to have a job. She has children, how she's going to feed her kids. And again, wise counsel, Natasha, as a believer, you have to believe that God is going to take care of her. Because at the end of the day, you didn't really cause her to lose her job, because she was not performing is what caused her to lose her job. So once I got over that, and that became my mindset, and then also documentation is key.
Yeah,
I learned this from Thales Carswell. Write down everything. Put it in black and white. You send it through emails, even if you have your little note on the side of your desk. Write it down.
Yeah.
Write it down. So if anything, it wasn't about feelings. I had facts that you weren't doing what you were supposed to do. I have facts to support the reason why you need to go out, out the door. So I'm saying it now because, again, I have come to the point now that, I understand it. But at first, it was kind of traumatizing, because I'm like, oh my goodness. But again, people have heard me say, I can't want, your job more than you.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And even, and it's the emotional side of me is like, dang. Dang. Well, anyway, yes, thank you. So you all, if you have any questions, I would ask that you go ahead and put those in. We're about to wrap up. So Natasha, tell us what you're doing now. Tell us about your podcast that's coming. Tell us what's going on with you outside of work.
Okay, well, I am excited to launch the Worthy of Recognition podcast. And so the premise of the podcast is that I just really wanted to be a platform to share inspirational, untold stories about compassion, influence, and purpose. We all have the ability to share our talents and gifts, to bless another. And I want listeners of the podcast to be inspired and encouraged to go out and do amazing things. The premise of the podcast is that listeners would recommend people who are doing great things in the realm of compassion, influence, and purpose to be interviewed, with me on the show. And I want it to become a movement where, everybody, no matter what it is, in terms of if you can bake pies, you give pies to a homeless shelter. If you can cut somebody's hair, you cut men's hair who can't go to the barbershop. So that's my desire for the Worthy of Recognition podcast. It's going to be featured on Anchor FM, and people can download the app from the Google store. And I must admit, I'm really excited about it. I'm building up the website. And my goal is August 31st. So I'll definitely send you a flyer and my Facebook post and everything. So thank you for giving me that opportunity to shout it out.
Absolutely. That is fantastic. Hey, Lonnie, how are you? That is absolutely fantastic. And I'm looking forward to it. podcasts are just, I love them. You learn so much.
Yes, I do too.
It's just great. So as we wrap up, does anybody have any questions, any final thoughts? I don't want to keep her too long. You know, she has children she has to take care of. And she has to take care of Mr. Worthy. I don't know why she called him Mr. Worthy.
You know what? I must give shouts out to my folk at CBWW. I didn't, and they did. And so since they've been calling him Mr. Worthy, that's what I do. I call him Mr. Worthy, you know. He ain't like Mr. now on The Color Purple.
Girl.
No, he ain't that Mr. Worthy.
No. He's a nice guy. Hey, Addie. How are you? Thank you for listening in today. Any final thoughts? I don't have any questions yet. Any final thoughts or anything about transitioning from a line worker to a supervisor before we wrap up?
I just think if that's your desire, I go for it. You know, the sky is the limit. It definitely gives you a greater perspective because I was a frontline worker, I know the challenges, you know, the successes and needs that they have. And being in this position allows me, you know, to address them. But it also allows me to make sure that from the programmatic and the systems standpoint, that I'm able to make progress to support, you know, families as well. So I say also pass it forward, because I would not be here without people who poured into me, you know, like yourself. I often think about Deborah from Grady as well. So if there's anything that you can do as a woman professional to help some young woman or some older woman to, you know, reach their next level, I say do it, you know.
Wow. Well, we want to advertise your podcast one more time. Worthy of Recognition podcast, and it's going to be featured on
Anchor FM, and it will premiere on Monday, August 31st.
So make sure you all, and as soon as she sends me the flyer or any information about that, I will be sure to share it with you all. Thank you so much for spending an hour with me. Thank you so much for sharing from your heart. I am so proud of you. You are just making it happen.
I appreciate you.
You are an amazing woman. It would not surprise me to see you as an elected official. You are just so full of knowledge, full of compassion, and you want what's best for people.
I do. Well, Sonya, I definitely appreciate you again for this opportunity, and congratulations to you. And I have really enjoyed myself, so thank you. And thank you to all the listeners who tuned in.
Yes. So does that mean that you'll be back?
Absolutely, girl. Now all you have to do is just ask. Well, that's all you had to do the first time.
Well, how do you pronounce your sister's name?
Thayas.
Thayas said, great job. Danetta, I think that's how it, Danette said, awesome. So Lonnie said, wonderful. Thank you so much. Danielle said, thank you both. Sophie said, good information. So let me tell you, the podcast is going to be on Facebook. So you can go, not the podcast. This interview is going to be on Facebook under my professional page. So you are more than welcome to go look at it at any time. And it will also be on my YouTube channel that you can look at at any time as soon as Danielle uploads it.
Okay.
Or Jocelyn, either one. It doesn't really matter.
Listen to you.
I know. I gotta learn how to do it. I gotta learn how to do it. But in the meantime, y'all have a great week. Y'all be safe. Make sure you wear your mask. Don't listen to those people. Don't listen to those people. They're crazy. You need to wear your mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And if possible, try to stay at the house, because we want to see you, not view you.
Absolutely.
So thank you all again for tonight. It's been wonderful. Natasha, I love you. Thank you again. And you have a blessed week.
I love you too. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.